Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar about the Enterprise Mobile Teardown tool. If any of those are not familiar with this application that we are building, it is an online version of Enterprise. We are focusing now on Teardown as our first area of focus. This application has a long development roadmap ahead of it, which we will talk about. But first things first, if anybody out there has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or put something in chat. If I miss you, I apologize in advance, and I'm actually going to allow everyone to talk. Feel free to shout out any questions or comments, and we'll just roll with it. So let's get started. So first things first, this application is available for a sort of pilot. If you, after this webinar, want this on your system, just contact us and we can get that sorted out. What you're looking at here, and this is just a web page. So you can access this through any web browser as long as you can access your server. If you have an on-premises server, talk to us about networking. If we host your server for you, we'll set that up. The screen you're looking at right now, and you'll have to forgive me, I skipped the login page. That's not too exciting. You can imagine what that's like. But the page you're looking at right now is a vehicle search. The goal of this application is to get your parts, and right now we're focusing on salvage parts. So the goal is to get your salvage parts to market as fast as you can and as easily as you can. What we want to develop is a tool that allows you to stay mobile on your feet, do a walk around of a vehicle, fill in some details, some images, all on your feet to get your part to market. And hopefully one day, maybe you'll never have to sit down at a desk. But let's get started. We're gonna get into vehicle search a little more in a bit. Right now, let me show you how to create a vehicle in this application. And right now, we can create a vehicle record using this website. We have not built in purchasing yet. So if you want to do a purchase order to bring the vehicle in, that's still being done on the desktop. To create a vehicle, we have a create vehicle button in the upper right here. We also have this side panel. Right now in the application, we only have a vehicle side panel option. More is to come later. There's also a plus button to add a vehicle from there as well. But I'm going to fold that back in. I'm going to click create vehicle over here. This brings us to the vehicle creation screen. Right away, you can see certain fields are required. This was a relatively new update to Enterprise. There are certain permissions and settings now available to modify what fields are required or not required. The field that I'm in right now, actually, the VIN, can be made required, and you can actually specify a length. So if you want to say, I require a 4-digit or a full VIN to be inputted, we can do that. Right now, I'm not requiring that. What we're going to do is we're actually going to add the vehicle that I drive to the system. So you all get to see what I drive and laugh at me. But let me just fill in some information real quick. I drive a Mazda in the model B3000, the only model available because I just added it yesterday. Acquire a category here. I'm going to click pickup. And this is essentially the minimum fields required to create a new vehicle record. You can see that certain fields are not writable right now. These are grayed out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click the create vehicle button. That's going to create a vehicle record in my system that is, that'll be findable on the desktop, and we can continue putting in all the details. So I'm going to put in some Some notes real quick. Had a bad check valve. True story. Good truck. So I'm going to add in some details. I'm going to click Save Vehicle. Let's move on to attachments. If I were on a mobile device, we could attach these from a camera. I'm on a desktop right now. Let me show you how to add attachments though. I'm just going to click this browse button here. I'm going to select my first image, click open. It's going to do some processing and there it is. Actually, you can click that for a little pop-up. I am also going to demonstrate. Now you may not be able to see this because I have another window open, but this does have drag and drop functionality. I'm just going to drag a single image in there. It drops in there, and I can also do bulk. So I'm going to drag and drop 3 images all at the same time. And they process, and they're there. And those are available in your database all over your system. And this little world globe denotes public or not public. So these will go up to HTTP if they're public. Let's say I want to make this interior shot not public. I'm just going to click that, unpublic it. And the star icon here denotes your favorite image or your most prominent image. Many of you probably already know the favorite image on heavytruckparts.net shows more prominently, so you want your best picture there. So let's say we want that one. I'm going to click the star there. It's going to put it at the front as my favorite image. And that's that. Let's go back to search real quick before we get into Teardown to show you what it looks like there. So I'm just going to go to the left here and click the vehicle icon. So these are all of our vehicles. You can see the vehicle we just added is at the top. There's filtering available here. I'm going to click this reset button to clear my sorts and filters. These images can be shown or not shown. One cool thing here is if you do not show the images, it shows you your image count. So for example, you want to look to see what vehicles you do not have images for. You can sort them, get your zeros at the top, and then you could take a phone or a tablet outside, get some images and fill in some details for any vehicles that you still need to process. There's also a column that shows the number of parts attached to the vehicles. So if you haven't done a walk around, for instance, for any vehicles that you've intaked recently, you can sort by the number of parts attached. You can look for any zeros and you can process those. I am going to just put Mazda in as a keyword search. It pops up with the vehicle that we just added. Let's go back into that vehicle record. So let's say we're ready to do a walk around, add some parts to this vehicle. We're going to go to the Teardown tab right here. First things first, in this Teardown tab, we can work off of a template. Templates are created on the desktop, and templates are really just suggestions for what component parts you want to add to this vehicle teardown. In my demo system here, I have one called Dismantle. I'm going to click that. It adds 3 rows, engines, transmission, and rear. And right now, none of these are actually added to inventory. This is just saying that we have 3 components here that are suggested that we add to inventory using this dismantle template. To actually add an inventory item, we can come over here, click this plus. We get a pop-up here to fill in some details. I'm not going to go entirely through all these details. They're pretty straightforward. But let's add some details for our engine. And yes, that pickup does have a Ford engine. It's essentially a Ford Ranger. Mark it as used. All these are pretty self-explanatory. We have our 4 major more fields here. We've got some shipping dimensions, description notes, and on the inventory item itself, just like on the vehicle, we can add attachments. Let's go ahead and do that. I have engine image ready for attaching right there. You can see it uploads, processes. I'm going to go ahead and click done. And there we go. We have added an engine assembly to this vehicle teardown. You can see it's got 1 attachment. It's got some details here. On the left, there's an undo button. Sometimes you may add a part that maybe you didn't mean to. So as soon as you add the part, you're capable of undoing that addition. I'm going to navigate away from this tab real quick and go back to teardown. And you can see though, that engine assembly is still there. The other 2 are gone. This doesn't have an undo button right now anymore, and it is marked as available. I'm going to bring those template items back, but we're not going to add those. The next thing I'd like to add is not on the template. And if you ever want to add something not on the template, in the add part drop down here, we have all of our inventory type options. I'm going to add a door real quick. So that adds a row for a door. Click on it. Same deal. Let's add some details here. One thing I wanted to show is this side drop down. If you pull the side drop down, I can add a left or right door, but there's a couple other options. Both just sort of denotes either it's compatible with both sides, or maybe you have a pallet with 2 doors and there's a split option. What the split option does is, as you may have noticed, it changes this one to left and it adds a new row to our template, or our breakdown rather. I'm going to hit done here. You see we now have a left and right door. And it is really as easy as that. There's a couple of views to this teardown tab. This is the view you'll see most often on a smaller device. But if you're on a widescreen device, there's this alternate view where you can see your teardown parts and you can see the details of the parts side by side. In this view, you can also go to next and previous items to flip through any inventory items that you need to still process, attach parts, add details, anything you need. There's also a dismantle checkbox here to note that, it's been dismantled. There's nothing but loose parts left. So you can use that there. And that's all it really takes to add a new vehicle with teardown attached parts. Are there any questions or comments or anything on functionality? That's all I really wanted to show today. I have more to talk about, but if you'd like me to show anything else in the app or get into any more detailed stuff, just shout it out. We are currently working on wrapping in a little bit more permissions from the main application to be involved in this. The most recent version of Enterprise allows you to flag fields in inventory as necessary, unnecessary. Let's see. Yes, this recording will be available online.
I had a question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
The pricing piece. So before we try to do like a mobile teardown, but the math or what have you that takes place between like your list price, your wholesale, your retail, all that. Once you save the record, it'll no longer do the math if you come back after the fact. So, for instance, if I'm out in the lot tearing one down on paper or in the system, if you will, I may not know my pricing at that moment. So is there a way to do it where if we, if we go ahead and save this record, I assume it's the same, where it'll go ahead and do the math up front, and then we'll have to go back and physically change each price, retail, wholesale, jobber, all that stuff. Is that correct?
You can, you can keep the prices at zero, of course. This uses the category. I'm sorry, I forget what it's called, but there's a category pricing feature in Enterprise where if you set up just sort of generic pricing for a Ford B3000 V6 engine, it'll grab that pricing and fill it in for you. I don't have any pricing set up for this model of engine, so it didn't add anything. Also, if you just don't want this part to be online until you have your pricing in, there is a public flag here. So I can create this engine in my system, just make it not public, and then you'll just have to go back after the fact and sort of fill in your pricing. So does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Can this be used with ITrack? This can be used with ITrack Enterprise. If there's no more questions, and again, shout out any questions at any time. But continuing, I really just wanted to talk about future development of this application. And let me repeat our goal here. Our goal is to allow our users to get marketable parts online to market as quickly and easily as possible, hopefully while staying on their feet. We don't want you to be chained to a desk anymore, but we need to get that stuff to market. Towards that goal, our next iteration will probably be working on a vehicle screen, or excuse me, a part screen. We need a part screen because let's say you get a shipment of miscellaneous parts. These aren't vehicle teardown component parts. They're just miscellaneous parts. Maybe they came in on a truck, bunch of engines. Maybe you bought them at auction. Our goal is for you to get a phone or a tablet, go out there, get some pictures, some details as you're unloading or putting them away. That way you can get them out to market as quickly as possible. But because they're not associated with a vehicle, we need a part screen. So most likely the next large area we're going to go with this application is building out a part screen. Further along the road, we have some additional features like we need to get purchasing in here. Like I said earlier, we can create a vehicle record, but we can't actually purchase it on a PO. We need to use the desktop for that. So we'd like to get purchasing in here. We'd like to get bids in this application. And we'd also like to get appraisals in this application. So anyway, that is in our mind where we're going, but we are absolutely welcoming suggestions or any comments about where we should go in the future. We really like to get a lot of hands on this application as soon as we can to sort of just see where the holes are. The more people are working on it, working with it, the more attention, we'll get, and people hopefully start saying, hey, we're inventorying a vehicle or a part, but I can't do this or I can't do that. We'd really like to get that feedback to sort of get this application capable of managing your vehicle and miscellaneous parts, sort of cradle to grave. That's our ultimate goal. how far out is the part screen if you had to put a timeline on it? Oh, put me on the spot there, Jonathan, not gonna lie. It is our major area of focus. We will be working on it Q4. I want to see a part screen come out probably the beginning of next year. There's, you know how it is though, stuff comes up, things change, can't make any promises. But yeah, we're talking about probably development being done on it the rest of this year and probably see a part screen come around beginning of next year if I had to put a guess on it. Thank you for the question. Okay. If there's no other questions, the only thing really I wanted to cover that remaining is deployment. So I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, this application is available. We still do consider it sort of a pilot application. Deployment involves placing a web server somewhere either on your network if you have an on-premises server. If you do have an on-premises server, we can talk to your IT department or your third-party IT company, and we need to install some software on your on-premises server to be able to provide this. But we can work out all those technical details with whomever you'd like. Just let us know. If we host your server, and by we, actually it's Google. So if your server is in Google Cloud, we can sort that all out for you. Just let us know that you want this available for you. Updates, once we deploy this, updates will happen automatically. Right now, they're coming about once every 2 weeks, depending on whether there's bug fixes or feature requests or anything like that. And that's really it. That's all I had to cover. Again, I welcome any questions or any conversation that you guys want to have. Sorry, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything, looking through my notes here. But okay, yeah. If nobody has anything else, I believe we can put into the webinar. You can reach me if you want to talk to me. You can send an email to M as in Mark, E as in Edward, Hardisty, HARDISTY @isoftdata.com. Or call our support line. I try to be available as much as I can. And with that, I will say goodbye. I am going to open a poll. Let me see if I can do this here. Let's see, launch poll. Okay, there we go. So I opened a poll. Feel free to fill that out if you like, or down. I'm going to mute myself and end this recording, and all attendees should get an email with this with a link to this recording. And thank you very much. Thank you for attending. Have a good day. Goodbye.